This morning, I had one of those mornings. I don't know if you know what I mean, but it was just one of those mornings where I was sort of in my own head, in my own funk, and no matter how much I was meditating and reminding myself of whatever I needed, I just couldn't get out of my own way. I don't know if Mike asked me how my day was, or if he asked I don't know how my morning workout or meditation was, but somehow Pandora's box got opened up and I started to pour into him and just tell him everything that was going on in my head, which are a lot of things like stories that we create. They're not really reality. There's fact and fiction. And so it was interesting, actually. At one point, he started to kind of offer me tidbits, right? And I quickly stopped him and I said, babe, I'm not looking for feedback right now. I'm not looking for a solution to a problem. I'm just venting. I just want to let you know what's going on in my head. And I need you to just hold space if you can do that for me. And I'm so grateful that he did, and he were able to have that type of communication with one another and nobody get upset, nobody get triggered, right? So that's basically the morning I was having. Now I'm going to tell you why. And I don't know, you might be surprised, but hopefully this helps. Hopefully you get something out of it. So here's the thing. I'm going to be honest with you. Judge me or don't. It stemmed from Instagram. Which just seems so ridiculous, right? I'm 39 years old. I'm an adult. We own multiple homes. I've got this great business. We've got this team. On the outside, it might look like I always have my ish together, but I don't. And if you've been in my world, if you've ever been in a coaching container with me, you know that I don't have it all together all the time. And you know that because I always share. And I share a lot on social media too, but I certainly share more in closed containers with clients, and I share vulnerably. And so what's ridiculous on the outside in the 3D world is that this near 40-year-old woman was having an off day today because of Instagram. And when I tell you why, it might resonate with you. And feel free to give me a heart or something in the comments if it resonates at all. I have been making content consistently, creating content consistently for 12 years, whether it was posting it on Facebook, Periscope, Clubhouse, TikTok, wherever, right? Instagram. This has been my main platform for 9 years. So 9 years consistently over here, every day just showing up and doing lives and doing stories and posting and sharing my life and learning the new features as they come out and figuring out the tips and the tricks and the hacks and all the things. And sometimes I feel like I don't have much left to say. Sometimes I feel like I've said it all. And sometimes, even though I teach it and I know better, sometimes the external, the numbers, not the followers, but the pure engagement, the number of people, the views on the stories, how many people are seeing my stuff, how many people are commenting, liking, how many people are randomly DMing me because they want to work with me, or how many people are not randomly DMing me, asking to work with me. And sometimes, every now and then, for me, even though I've been doing this for 12 years, those external numbers, they'll just hit. And especially when I'm in a launch, right? Which we've all been there probably, when you're launching and it's just not going the way that you expected. And there's this weird thing with expectation. So expectation is basically a promise that was made, but only one party knew about it. A promise that was broken, that only one person knew about the promise in the first place, right? An expectation is a broken promise that was never made. That's a better way to say it. A broken promise that was never made. And so sometimes with social media, we expect things, which is a promise that we never made, with the algorithm gods, with technology, with the time of day that you're posting, with the content that you're posting, right? And so my little moment this morning was triggered by, it spiraled, of course, into other things, as it does, but it was stemmed by social media, it was stemmed by Instagram. And it came up because there's a feeling of frustration when you pour your heart into something and you work really hard and you are putting hours into something, or you get out of your comfort zone and you finally get to a place where you're doing it, or you're willing to say it, or you're sharing it, or you're telling people about your launch, or your doors open, or whatever. When the external result doesn't produce the thing that you thought it should, when the external result doesn't look how you wanted or how you expected, then we can create stories, we can create meaning, right? And something that I would tell any one of my clients is, what are you making it mean about you, right? Because we have to be really careful. We make things mean things, especially when we don't understand them. And so you might not realize it, you might not think it, because I've been doing this for so many years, because I have such big launches, because I've had financial success, because I have a team behind me, and because sometimes we put people on pedestals. I'm not saying you put me on one, but you might think that it's easier for me, or, oh, she's got a team, or she doesn't have to work as hard, or she's got brand recognition or clout, or whatever it's going to be. And sometimes the stories that we create, the meaning that we make, for me, is that I'm not worthy. There are waves in business, right? And there are seasons. And for whatever reason, every now and then, my Instagram just like hits a wall. And I know a lot of people have been struggling right now with things like engagement. And then there's also a lot of people who aren't. And that's part of the struggle, is the comparison. But like, her account isn't struggling, or his account, he's not having a hard time. His stuff always gets shared. I don't understand. Like, everybody, I shared him yesterday, Alex Hermosi, everybody loves him. So-and-so seems to be doing really well. She's got 1 million comments under her post. Whatever the story is, right? There's fact and there's fiction. And so I say this to say, on my tiny little account here, which it's relative, 8,000 followers is not small, but it, compared to my old account, is small, and compared to a lot of my competitors or my peers who are at the level of business on that, it's very small. I have a baby account compared to most of my peers. And so with those numbers, I'm used to, this is like the problem, right? I'm used to seeing like 300 up to 1,000 story views per story, 300 up to 1,000 story views, which is kind of average engagement. And I'm used to seeing on a post, a carousel, or a reel, posts and carousels reaching 1,000 is like totally normal. Reels reaching 5,000, 7,000, 10,000 is totally normal. I'm not talking about likes or anything. I'm talking about reach. And so recently, for whatever reason, it's tanked. And my story views, and I'm doing all the things that we're supposed to do. My story views have gone, I think this morning, like my last story from 24 hours ago has about 100 views on it right now. So down significantly. So about 100 story views. I'm like living between like 30 like 65 story views to like maybe 200, which again, normally I'm like 300 to 1,000. And then my posts, for whatever reason, the last couple days, literally are only reaching 100 people. Like 111 people were how many my last post reached. So then when you take the normal stats of how many people would like, comment, etc., obviously those numbers are much smaller. So my last few posts literally have 14 likes, 1 comment, 0 comments, 23 likes, a couple saves. I'm used to getting hundreds of saves. When I put an infographic up, I get hundreds of saves or shares, and it's just been crickets. And so when you have that over and over and over, day after day, where it feels like it's crickets, where it feels like nobody is seeing anything, where it feels like you're talking to nobody, it can be really difficult to show up. I don't know if anyone else has ever felt this way. Give me a yes or give me a heart if you've ever felt like when the work that you're putting in is not being seen, when you're putting yourself out there, especially doing something like a launch, and people aren't seeing it. The frustration, of course, can bubble up that people aren't seeing it. But for me, it usually spirals into, what's wrong with me? Is it me? I'm bad, I'm old news, nobody cares anymore. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not thin enough. I don't have enough followers for it to snowball. People don't care what I have to say. I don't have enough branding. My branding isn't there. I should do a rebrand. And we start to like question all of these things. And so this morning when I was having an off morning, it literally was triggered by social media, and it was triggered by that. And for whatever reason, we started running ads about 2.5 years ago for certain launches and stuff so that we can help more people. For whatever reason, every time that we crank our ad spend up, my engagement just tanks. I don't know if the two are related. That doesn't seem like it should be. It should be like the opposite, right? If we're running ads and we're getting in front of cold leads, you'd think that the engagement would go up. But for every single time in the last 2.5 years that we've run ads, my engagement, it's almost like I get shadow banned. Like, that's how bad it is. And every time I go through the same emotional story. Every time I go through this wave of feeling unworthy, this wave of not feeling good enough, this wave of comparing myself to other people, this wave of comparing myself to my old self, wondering if it'll ever be how it used to be. And so I say all this to say, we do these live Q&As so that I can come on and answer questions that you have. But I also like to share what's going on in my world, what's working in my business, what's not working, what I'm seeing trending. And sometimes I just want to share where I'm at. But that doesn't change the fact that for a moment, for an hour, for a season, for a morning, I was questioning. Thank you for listening. I really was. I was questioning and wondering, and it's like, is it over? Is it over? Like, is it done? And I think it's really important, especially being someone who has been in the industry for so long and someone who has had so much success. And I say that in quotes because my definition of success has changed a lot over the years. But I know for a lot of my audience members and a lot of the clients we work with, they see me as successful because we do have a 7-figure a year business, which is amazing. And we have consistently for many years, and we have a team. And so this looks successful, right? I retired Mike from his corporate job and he works with me. There's a lot of people on here who want their spouse to come work with them. They want to bring them home. We travel the world. We're kind of digital nomads. And so all of these things, this freedom that we have, looks and is perceived a certain way on the outside. And it's amazing. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. And I've worked my butt off to get here. And I work my butt off every day to get here, to stay here. Despite those things, I still question. And despite those things, little insignificant things like likes, I don't care about the followers. It's the lack of engagement, like it's the lack of reach that gets to me, because I'm pouring my heart and soul into what I'm saying, and I know what I'm saying is so great and it helps so many people. And the frustration comes when it's like, why did that one, I'm not talking about going viral, but it's just like, why did nobody see that? Like, why did nobody see that? That was so good. It would have been so helpful for so many people. And then I get down on myself, right? So anyway, I don't even know where I'm going with this. I was just sharing vulnerably with where I'm at. And yeah, I had a rough morning, and I cried this morning to Mike, and it was triggered, and it started because of Instagram. And that might seem crazy and that might seem stupid, and maybe you're like, that's pathetic, or oh my God, she needs therapy, or she needs other hobbies or whatever. But the interesting thing about being a service provider and being a coach and being a personal brand is that no matter how many times somebody really smart, how many times a mentor, how many times a friend can tell you to detach from the outcome, that the outcome doesn't matter, that we're here to just show up and serve and do it consistently over time, and that we have to be careful that we're not making meaning out of something, right? No matter how many times somebody can tell you that stuff externally, when you are the personal brand, when you are the face of it, when you're a coach, when you're a service provider, it is very difficult. And I know because I've been doing it for 12 years, it is very difficult to fully detach from not the outcome, but the result. I know that sounds like the same thing, but I'm not talking right now about like the financial, how many people enroll or anything like that. That's a whole other branch. I'm just talking about in general, putting in the work and the time and the effort and being vulnerable and authentic and putting yourself out there and like creating and constantly creating. I've been creating consistently for 12 years online, just every single day, creating. And when you feel like it's not being seen, and then you question why, is it because it's not enough? Is it because it's not pretty enough, or the colors aren't right, or the brand is dead? Then it's really hard to disassociate that from me, because I am still very much the brand. I am the coach. I am the face of it, despite the fact that we have a team of coaches, right? It's still very much me. And it's no different than when you're in a launch and you do a sales call with somebody and they say no. And for me, I'm in a place now where like, that just rolls, man. That like I don't even flinch at that. But where I used to be and where my clients often are is, why? What's wrong with me? Why did they say no to me? Even if the person is saying, I'm having a baby next week, it's not a good time, we still take it on as like, what did I do wrong? Was it my price? Was it I didn't get the messaging across? Are they going to go work with another coach? Do they not like me? Do they not think that I'm good enough? Do they not think that I can help them? And so we create these stories because we make things in our business mean things about us. And we have to be cautious. We get to be really cautious and mindful that we're not doing that. But what I'm also saying is, as someone who has been the face, the coach of a personal brand for over a decade, it's really hard. It's really hard when it is you, because it is you. And when something doesn't get a lot of likes and when nobody comments or slides into your DMs, there are going to be days where you question, is it me? Is it me? Why are more people not on right now? Why are more people not asking questions? Why is nobody giving me the heart on the live? Why is nobody applying for my program? Why are they not opening my emails, right? And there's so much strategy that you can do. So you can look at the strategy and go, all right, I can change my subject lines. I can change my messaging. Maybe I can post a different time of day. Mmaybe I should do more collaborations and get myself out there and borrow other people's audiences. Maybe I should niche down more so that I'm not talking to too many people. I'm super clear on who I'm speaking to. There's all these things that you can do strategically, and I'm like the queen of strategy. I love it. I'm the masculine teacher. I love strategy. Give it to me straight. Give me a spreadsheet. I love it all. But there's also the energy side of things and the mindset side of things. And that's the work that we get to do. And when you sign up to be a coach, when you sign up to be an entrepreneur, what you're actually signing up for is a rocket ship to personal development, because it is going to force you to take a look at things that you haven't looked at before. Entrepreneurship is going to present to you opportunities, and it's going to invite you in to look at the shadows, to look at the trauma, to figure out why you think and act the way that you do. And you could choose to resist it, but what we both know is that what we resist persists. So you could choose to resist it, or you could choose to do the work, as they say. And the work is really sitting there and reflecting on, all right, well, what are my own patterns and habits, and what are my triggers, and what's the type of support that I need in what moments of what different days when things come up? What do I need? And why am I doing these things? What am I looking for externally? Am I still looking outside of myself for validation? Am I looking outside of myself for love? Am I craving something that I'm not getting? Where is that coming from, right? This is the work. What am I making rejection mean about me? What happened when I was younger? Was I rejected, right? Like all of this stuff, this is the work. And I will tell you that it is not fun when you're in it, but I will also tell you that it's absolutely worth it when you're on the other side of it. And this is the growth and the evolution that we all want. We all want to grow. We all want to evolve. We don't want to stay the same. I've shared the story before. I'm sending her love, but one of my college roommates, who I'm not friends with anymore, not for any reason, we just have we're just not into the same things. It was about a year after I graduated college, and I think we were catching up on the phone, or we maybe saw each other at a wedding or something. And she said to me in the most disgusted tone, "You've changed." Like it was this really bad thing. "Jess, you've changed. I don't even know you anymore." This was like a year and a half after college. And my inside wanted to scream, "Yeah, and you haven't." But I, of course, didn't say that. I just said, "Yeah, I have. And I'm really proud of that." Because if I was the same version of me that I was when I was 18 or 23 or 37 now, like that would be sad for me. That would be sad for me. I don't want to be the same version of me. I'm not saying I don't love the old version of me. I do, and I'm really proud of her. But this is my current version of me at, 39 and a half. And I hope that in 6 months I am different and I've changed. And in a year I'm different again and I've changed. Right, thank goodness I've changed. And I've taken my lessons and I've taken my experiences and I've implemented and tweaked and iterated as I've grown and gotten older, and the same thing happens in our business. So I don't even know. I just went off on a tangent here. I don't know if any of this has resonated. If it has, give me that external validation. Give me a heart. But really, if it has resonated, just give me a heart. I mean, one of the things that I said to Mike this morning was that I feel alone. That's what I said to him, which is crazy because we're currently living with my brother and sister-in-law who are our best friends. I've got the best friends. I'm in an incredible mastermind with the best mentor whom I have been with for years. I have my community here that join me on lives and that do engage when they see things, and I have conversations with people in the DMs. And I have the most amazing team that I get to work with every single day. In fact, Mike is on a meeting right now with our team that need the CEO and the visionary. I don't need to be on that meeting, but they're all on that meeting running the business right now. I've got the best coaches in our coaching staff. And truly, we get the best clients. Like, you can't even argue with me. We get the best freaking clients ever, because the clients that we get to work with, they have the same values that I have. So I get to work with people who care about impact. I get to work with people who care about growing and evolving and really truly changing. Every single one of my clients wants to do the work. Every single one of my clients is interested in the mindset stuff. My clients all value integrity. My clients they're adults. You know, the majority of the clients that we get to work with, they're in their mid-20s to their 60s. I'm working with people who get it, who want to do all this stuff because they see the bigger vision. Nobody ends up in my world as a client if they're just hungry for quick cash. Like, call me lucky, call it good messaging. I don't know, maybe like attracts like. We don't get BS clients. We don't get clients who expect us to build it for them. I never get clients in my world who think that it's going to be this overnight success thing, who want to snap their fingers, sit back and eat bonbons. That's just not who we call in. And I'm so grateful for that. So I know that I'm not alone, but sometimes it feels like I am. And that's also the thing about entrepreneurship, is sometimes you can feel alone. A lot of us are working from home. We're working from our phones. We're working from our computers. We don't go into the office. We literally don't see other adults. We don't see other humans throughout the day. And it's really easy to just sit there and keep logging into Zoom and keep getting on Canva and keep working on your landing page and keep sending emails without ever seeing another person. I mean, before Mike was working in the business, I was alone every day at home for years. And like, I loved it, but also it's hard. And getting on Zoom and doing a meeting with people is not the same thing as like being with people in person. And again, this came today because it's really frustrating when you pour everything into it and it just doesn't feel like it's getting seen. But what I want to remind you of, as I'm about to cry, is it's not about the volume. And that's not why I'm doing it, right? Like, we're never posting to go viral. You shouldn't be. I'm not posting to be popular. I'm not trying to get, I'm giving. I'm not trying to sell, I'm serving. And when I can come back to that and I can remember that, okay, no big whoop, as I used to say as I was a little kid, no big whoop, right? Sometimes there's 1,000 story views and sometimes there's 100 story views. But ultimately, if there's one person in the 100 or one person in the 1,000 that hears something that hits them, then that's the point. If there's one person that gets it, if there's one person that thinks differently, if there's one person that feels seen or heard or understood, if there's one person who anything that I say just resonates in that moment, then it was all worth it. So it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Like, there's literally 6 of you on right now. My old account had tens of thousands I couldn't do the math just now. My old account used to have 26,000 followers. This one has 8,000. We've got a big email list. It's like, where are all the people? But it doesn't matter. The 7 of you that are on are the ones who matter right now. And anyone who's watching this replay are the ones who matter right now. And so if I'm saying something that's resonating, then that's the only thing that matters. And you know what? If I'm saying something that it isn't resonating with any of the 7 of you, that doesn't matter either. Because this is a part of my journey. It has nothing to do with you. So maybe this is just me practicing going live. Maybe this is me getting comfortable sharing my story. Maybe this is just me putting in the reps. So who's to tell me that it's not worth it because there's not a lot of people on, or there's not a lot of comments, or there's not a lot of likes or shares or follows? Yeah. Is anyone seeing? Does anyone care? I think we've all felt that, especially on social media. We've all felt it in our life, like in our real life. We've all had experiences of, is anyone seeing it? Does anybody care? Like, if I were to slip out the back door, would anybody notice? Right? If I were to just slink off stage right now in my 5th grade concert, would anybody notice? If I were to stop, I remember 4th grade playing the trumpet, like if I were to stop actually blowing into the trumpet, would anybody even recognize that I'm not singing? If we have a choir of 50 kids and I'm just mouthing the words, would anybody actually notice that I'm not saying anything because I don't like my voice? I think we've all experienced it. And I know on social media it's something that we experience on the daily, and a lot of people don't talk about it. And a lot of the people that I would want to talk about it don't talk about it. A lot of the leaders who make it look easy, myself included, a lot of the people who have the success, the financials, who have the team, who have the clients, who have the brand, it's like, I just feel like we're not talking about it enough. And we're all growing with social media. We're all learning as these platforms have been in our lives now for 20 years. Facebook was 20 years ago that it came out. I was in college. It was crazy. And so we're learning now together as a society, like, what does it actually mean? What is social media doing for our mental health, right? What is coming up for our kids now that are growing up with it? The expectations, the instant gratification, all these things. So, yeah, sometimes I still have bad days. And sometimes those bad days are triggered by Instagram. Judge me. I don't know. I'm human and I'm just going through the human experience. And this is where I'm at. And so despite the fact that I'm so excited for our upcoming training and we've had all these people register, despite the fact that I've got this great team on a meeting right now and I'm living with my brother, which is like my dream because he's my best friend, like I can still have a bad day. Yeah, don't be positive Patty if it's not real. And you know what? People can feel it. When you fake it, people can feel it. And I'm not saying that being positive is faking it, but I've had a morning. I've had a morning. And for me to either jump on this live or put up a post that was some just like standard general inspirational quote, it just, you would be able to feel it. You really would. Like you would just know. And I don't want to do that. So I'm not going to. Also, I really need to dye my roots because the grays are getting out of control. I need a haircut because it's so long. I mean, like, what's happening here? Oh my goodness. I'm going to end it there today. I appreciate you listening. I do. I hope this was helpful in the slightest bit. I hope this was something that maybe just resonated, and maybe it's something that you've been feeling. Maybe it's something you've felt in the past, and so just me even saying it makes you feel a little bit more human and a little bit less crazy. Because I know for me, there's this thing about like being a 40-year-old woman who gives a shit about Instagram. Because other than my entrepreneurial friends, all of my friends in my world, my friends from like high school and college and stuff, they're not entrepreneurs, they're not digital marketers, they don't use social media the way that I do. And so just even saying it out loud sometimes is like, it's embarrassing a little bit. It's like, there's a little bit of shame there. And sometimes for me, there's even a little bit of guilt, like, oh, it's so hard. You post on social media and you work with your husband. Oh, so hard. What else? I think that's it. I think that's all I want to say. I really appreciate you for holding space because one of the things that was such a trigger this morning was feeling like I had no one. And so you holding space here today is reminding me that I do even have friends on the internet who will hold space. I love you dearly. I'll see you tomorrow for our coaching over coffee. And as always, my friends, cheers to your evolution. Do me a favor. If there's someone in your life that you feel like this conversation could resonate with, of course you can share it on social media. I would love that, but send it to them. I'm going to keep it on my feed. Feel free to send it to them. I think it's a conversation that needs to be had. And I would love you to share it with someone who you feel like they might need it. I love you.